Hey guys, Scott Patton here, and I've got my August top 5 picks for you. August is kind of one of them tricky months really because it's still hot outside, but honestly our weather's starting to change, and especially towards the end of August you're going to start having bait migrate towards the surface. Going to have bait start migrating into creeks. We're going to start having some cool fronts come through, and this year here seems like we're getting a lot of rain. But I've noticed that there's a lot of bait even on Kentucky Lake. I was down there last week. Here on Chickamauga, bait starting to migrate back in the creeks. So I do a lot of topwater fishing in the months of August. Some days are going to be better than others. Of course, you're looking for the cloud cover, those windy, choppy days, rain, fronts, and stuff like that coming in. So I catch a lot of big fish on topwater this time of year. And again, as we move in towards the end of August, it's going to be a really good time to try to catch some big fish on topwater. Now, it's not the only bait I'm going to throw, but I'm probably going to start out showing you guys the topwater. I've been using a worm and also a chatterbait a lot this time of year. So let's get into the baits that I choose, okay? As far as topwater, my number one favorite topwater bait of all time, I've caught so many big fish on all the Tennessee River lakes. I don't care if it's on Guntersville, Kentucky Lake, Chickamauga, all of them. This bait really produces this Tennessee shad color gunfish, the 115, and I can walk this bait. It spits even in choppy water. This bait makes a lot of commotion because, like I said, besides just walking, it also spits water as you fish it. And if you guys haven't fished this Lucky Craft 115, I'm telling you what, you need to get you some of these and fish them. I use them in 2 different sizes, okay? Now, before I go into I'll show you the other size I use in colors. I'm going to go into grass flats, but probably not all the way back in creeks. So I'm going to go into creeks and hit the side pockets and stuff like that. Any kind of cover, if I got hydrilla or anything like that around, then I'm going to throw this thing over the hydrilla, looking for that hydrilla's got holes and stuff in it. Again, I'm going into the creeks, fishing the points on the creeks, check the pockets and stuff like that, because them fish can be migrating back into the creek because the bait's migrating. And usually when you find bait, you're going to be able to find you some fish. This usually works real good early in the morning, every morning. If you get out daylight, you can fish topwater and be effective with it all the way probably until about 9:30 in the morning. And once that sun pops up, it's going to slow down. Now, if you got cloudy, rainy days, guys, I call them as late as 11, 12 o'clock, even all day long on them, if you got the right conditions, especially if it's been cloudy and rainy for several days. I like throwing this thing on a 610 PAL rod. I can walk this bait real good. Right now I got this rigged up on 17 or 20 pound test monos, what I'll go with. I will also throw this on braid. These topwater baits on braid, you guys. Right now I'm fishing a lot of grass. I don't have to make a real long cast. But when these big fish start chasing these gizzard shad later in the month and through the fall, I will switch over to braid because I'm going to make a really long cast. And if that fish, because I can't get my boat up in them flats, and if those fish hit, I want to be able to get a hook set in them from a distance and get those fish to the boat. So the Lucky Craft 115 is a great bait. Now I'll throw, that's Tennessee shad. These are real translucent colors. I will throw it in like a bone shad and stuff like that too, you guys, on these cloudy, rainy days. I didn't bring the whole box with me. I just grabbed a couple. But one color that gets overlooked, especially on clear days, in areas that you have clear water and not much wave action, is a clear gunfish or a topwater bait on you guys right there. That's just clear. But as those fish are looking up through that, it's more translucent. I just think it looks more natural to them. It's easier to fool them. And if you're not throwing a clear one, then you need to try this in any of these topwater baits in clear. It's not always the best choice, but I'm telling you, on clear, calm days, this bait will catch them where the others won't, just because it just is, fish can see through it. I think the way it reflects light and stuff like that, as they're looking up to it in that clear water, it creates a lot of good bites. And I've had a lot of guys catch a lot of big fish with me when they're fishing this bait. Now on this one here, I've changed that front hook out with a red hook. That's one thing I've done for years on a lot of my walking baits. It's done that because what I feel like it does, it gives them fish that red, the key on it, and a lot of times I get a better bite because they're going for that front hook, so I'm getting getting them, instead of swiping at the tail of it, they're hitting that bait solid, and that red hook, I believe, draws that attention when they see that. So it just kind of gives them a target. Of course, I like to tail feathers on all my topwater baits, and they just have more action in them when they're sitting still. Now I'm gonna go to the Lucky Craft 95, same colors, again a clear one, smaller profile. Now I'm gonna be throwing these two baits. This is another Tennessee shad color one. I'm going to be going with these smaller baits, you guys, depending on the lake you're going to be fishing. If the lake doesn't have a lot of big fish in it, and you're fishing for 1, 2, and 3 pound fish, and even if you have a lake that has big fish in it, on clear, calm days, these baits are smaller profile. Again, you can fool the fish. I'll go with the Lucky Craft 95 a lot, and this thing catches a lot of fish for me. If you're fishing river systems and stuff like that for smallmouth, great topwater bait right here, you guys. Just walk and stop it. You have to experiment with the retrieve. See if they, if they want it continuously moving. We may walk it a little bit and pause it, walk it a little bit and pause it, which usually works real good on either of these topwater baits. But this is something you're going to have to make sure you throw in summertime. Now, with this bait right here, smaller, you guys, I'm not going to throw on 17 or 20. I'm probably going to go with either 12 or 15 pound test line as a lighter bait. And if you get too heavy a line, you can't walk this bait as well. So with that smaller Lucky Craft gunfish, go with a little bit lighter line, 12 to 15 pound test. I've done it many times on 15 pound test line, and it's worked well. Or you can go with your, say, a 25 or a 30 pound test braid, and it'll walk it real good too. But again, usually I'm using these two baits with clear water. So if you're going to do it with braid, I would tie a leader onto it, but I don't do that a lot for my topwater baits. I usually throw straight braid, or I'm going to go to a monofilament. All right, guys. So the number one bait is going to be my Lucky Craft gunfish. Now another bait that I've used for the last 3 or 4 years, and I use different ones, different styles. This is a Lucky Craft wake bait, you guys. In the last 3 or 4 years, I've really done really well with this bait towards the end of August and early September. But it seemed like really in August, it's really a good bait. What it is, you're going to throw this thing out there, and that bait just walks back and forth and creates a wake on the surface. You roll it real slow, nothing special to it, but you don't want to get it where you're cranking it too fast, where it's be more submerged. You want to make sure you get that wake on the top of that water. You're going to fish it real slow, but it's basically a topwater bait. Like I said, it's Lucky Craft wake bait, and it catches a lot of big fish, and it's just a bait they do not see out there a lot, you guys, okay? So when you're fishing for those, once you find you some fish and stuff like that, I always throw that wake bait in my arsenal to catch them. You can see how that bill is made right there. It's more of a steep down. It doesn't make that bait dive down. It just pulls it underneath the water enough, and it just walks like that, creating tails sticking up on the top surface of the water, and it creates a real nice wake. And excellent bait, you guys, I'm telling you what. And it does not get fished a lot. So if you're looking for a new bait to add to your tackle box, the Lucky Craft wake bait is a great one to have. All right. All right. So then another topwater bait. You can use any topwater baits during the month of August, I think, catch fish. But the walking baits like the Lucky Craft gunfish and your wake bait. And then I'm going to have frogs tied on this time of year, you guys. If you got lakes that have got grass in them, I know here on Tennessee River, on Tennessee River lakes, that these lakes are going to start dropping towards the end of the month. But still, yet, if you got hydrilla in these lakes, and any of them that does in August, you're going to start having some mats and stuff. So, what you want to do is fish this bait on braid. I'm going to throw on a 50 pound test braid. This is a real good color I've done here with this a copper. Let me see. All right, a buddy of mine down here, give me these baits, you guys. This is a copper red wave frog. This is a real good color like that. It's kind of like a golden. It's got like a golden belly on it. More of a brown back. It reminds me of more of a brownish chartreuse type frog, which is a different color that you can't really find in a lot of places. Of course, I'll throw them in white, black, and he makes a real good white one. This bait's got a mouth on it, you guys, where it'll spit water, but also you can walk it real easy, okay? So hopefully you can see that right there. It's got a good hook in it, a good strong hook. And these baits are weedless, but one thing I like is got this soft back to it. Great hookups. But you can check him out. Those and also with just a normal popping frog, you guys. If I got a real thick mat, I'm throwing these frogs on. I like a popping frog. Now I have people go out with me and they want to use that like a popper, like a pawpaw or something like that. That's not normally the way I'm gonna fish this frog. Most of the time with that popping frog, or even just a standard walking frog, I don't want to just slide it to me or pop it real hard to me. I'm trying to make that thing walk, okay? And if you practice, you guys, you can make that bait walk, okay? And what that does to your frog, and it lets that bait stay in areas, a tighter area, longer, and still make action, still make movement on that grass, okay? Those fish can detect underneath that mat if there's something moving up there. It's going to get attention. It's going to be more natural to him. And so don't just pop in there. A lot of times if he's not real active, you're going to take it out of the strike zone and you're not going to catch that fish. But if you learn to make that bait walk, just little twitches like that, it'll make more movement in a tighter area, and you can provoke that fish into eating that frog a lot better. Now I'm going to throw this around lay down trees this time of year. I'm going to throw it, of course, like I said, around the hydrilla mats and stuff like that. You're going to start seeing on these lakes. But you don't have to have grass to catch fish on frogs, you guys. I'm telling you, this is a great bait to throw around docks in the summertime, or, in the months of August, towards the end of August especially. Lay down trees, anything that treetops, cedar trees, which almost any bait hangs up in. If you got a lake that's got a lot of lay down cedars and stuff in it, this is a real good bait to throw. I know I used to fish the lake in Kentucky called Taylorsville Lake. That whole area is just full of cedars, and we have a lot of cedar trees and stuff in there. Cedar trees with those cones and stuff like that hang your line real easy, and you can't get like the gunfish bait in there tight in those branches and stuff like that. But with a frog you can, okay? So you're putting a bait in there that fish are not seeing, and again, fishing around docks, this thing's a fairly easy bait to skip underneath the docks, and it's still a topwater bait, you guys, underneath that dock. So make sure you got you some frogs for August, and you're going to catch you some fish with those, I promise you. My next bait's going to be, of course, one that's really a year-round bait, but I use it a lot, and that's going to be, again, my jackhammer or chatterbait style bait. I throw a lot of shad patterns. Again, this time of year, shad are migrating. I usually kind of stay away from my bluegill colors and stuff like that right now. It just seems like when you start getting them balls of shad migrating, these fish will focus on those schools of shad. Whether you're throwing this around other bait, if you're on a flat or something like that, and you see on your active target, you see fish moving around chasing bait. We caught a lot of good fish with this bait, just out there covering the flats and stuff like that. Again, you can throw this thing easily around docks, any kind of cover, riprap. Riprap is another cover that's going to end up being good this time of year, especially with your chatterbait and your topwater bait, you guys. I throw this on a 7-foot power rod. This is a medium heavy action. This is probably my favorite power rod that they make. It's just a good universal rod. If you guys haven't checked out the power rods, you want to do that. I've got my Lew's spinning reel on here, 7-to-1 gear ratio. I like that higher speed gear ratio. Most of the time, that's usually what I fish. I'm going to throw this on, I would throw it normally on 17-pound tests, Seaguar fluorocarbon, and the reason I go with 17 instead of 20 is because if I'm fishing these flats and stuff with these fish chasing bait, I can make a longer cast if I see a school of fish come up. Whether I get 5 or 7 or 8 more feet out of a cast, that can be the difference in catching, get into the fish or hitting short behind the fish and or in front of the fish and not catching them. So that's why I'll go with 15 or 17-pound test line this time of year, because I want to be able to make a long cast if I need to. All right, guys. All right, now my number 5 bait for August is going to be the plastic worm. Now what I do is I use a lot of light weights. You know, this is a 3/8 ounce pro tungsten weight. I'll use quarter, 3/8. I'm sorry, this is a 1/4 ounce. I'll use a 1/4 and 3/8 most of the time, and I may even go lighter depending on how thick the cover is I'm fishing. This is a small worm, is a zoom UV worm. This bait here is something I can fish around treetops, around, you know, a lay down. I can fish it around some stumps and stuff like that, because you're going to start having fish scattered, and you can catch them off any kind of cover normally this time of year. And a plastic worm is just something it's a good follow-up bait even on your top water and stuff like that. But if it's a tough day, that plastic worm's going to catch your fish for you, especially later in the day, you guys. This will be something to pick up and start throwing. So my number 5 pick is going to be a plastic worm rigged with the pro tungsten. And you guys, if you're looking for pro tungsten, you can find them, or we got a link on our description here, protungsten.com. You can order things online, or you can find them in your tackle store. Especially down here in Dayton, Real Deal Tackle Store's got them in stock. So guys, this is the top 5 picks for August. Hopefully to help you out. I got some guide trips going on September, October, and I pretty much got most of August already full. But anyways, hope this will help you guys out, catch you a few more fish. Make sure you subscribe, you guys. I appreciate it. Follow, hit the notification bell. It really helps us out a lot. And keep on trying to give you good, honest information here that is going to help you catch more fish, especially if your days are numbered when you can go fishing. Hopefully this points you in the right direction. Again, thanks for following, you guys. And until next time, good fishing to you. Thanks.